Hello again, welcome back, and we'll now find each other for this presentation on methods for project development. In this presentation actually we'll show into two different methodologies for project development. So not too much into education for sustainable development methods, but into methodologies that support in organizing, structuring projects and finding out interlinkages that take place within this project. It also supports surely about understanding interdisciplinary interactions, but especially in the second methodology of the Graz model for integrative development, this will show you about the role also education plays in sustainable development and in transformative development. The two methods I will show here in these presentations are system analysis and the Graz model for integrative development. Creativity and innovation, as we have learned already in other presentations, is a very central and important point for sustainable development. Without creativity we would not get innovation, and without innovation we would not come towards sustainable development. And Albert Szent-Györgyi, actually the Nobel Prize winner and the founder and who found the vitamin C, he came up with this saying of being creative is seeing the same things as anybody else, but thinking about something different. So we need to learn also to think creative to come towards innovations. But for this we need to understand also the systems that are behind and to see the interlinkages. And to see those interlinkages, system modeling and system analysis is actually a very useful tool. It's easy to do and it helps then really to structure projects. First point is about to list the impact factors. You might, so let's think about some example. For example, you within your area, within the street you are living in, you would like to plant new trees because you think if you plant new trees there, a nicer environment would look like when you look out of the windows. Maybe the air also improves within the street you live in. Trees also take dust and also noise, reduce noise, so it's quite useful to have trees close by. So doing that, you might think about all the positive aspects, but then you need also to think about, okay, what impacts does this have to plant trees in my street? So first point in system analysis would be to list all social, economic and environmental aspects of impacts this tree planting would have. So social aspects would be like better social behavior in the environment, better mood of the people walking through the street, nicer looking. Environmental aspects would be like a better air, better noise conditions and so on. But also environmental aspects would be that trees of course need water. So you collect all these impact factors. And of course economic factors also, like the trees would cost of course something, the water would cost something. If it's a shopping street, the trees would take some parking spaces and so on. So all of this you collect in a long list. And then you put those impact factors onto a white sheet of paper and put them into relation to each other. So how do the planting of the trees and the more water interact with economic conditions of the street, with the behavior of the people, and draw the lines in between all those impact factors. And this finally then provides you a picture of how this planting trees would look like. This was now just a simple example. You might think about any other different case, however, or wherever you are working into projects. As a teacher you might work also on implementing new teaching tools within your school, which is also a project, right? And again has different impact factors that are social, that are economic and maybe also environmental. Again, it's about listing them, putting them into the relations, drawing the lines in between as you can see it here in this chart, and Therefore, this helps you to understand how this whole system looks like and on which different angles you might steer a little bit to have an impact on something different. And that helps you finally to realize your ideas and your project. So this is just a short explanation about system analysis. You can try it out with whatever project you are doing and working on and have your experiences with that. The impact factors can be listed by category, as said, and to help and support in this methodology in the beginning, it might be enough also to list about 5 of each category. Yeah? So if you put them into economic, social and environmental categories, listing each 5 of them might be enough for the beginning to have a model that brings together the most concrete and crucial impact factors and would not grow up to a too big model. Secondly, a second model, I'd like to tell you something about the Graz model for integrative development. Why is it named like this? It has actually developed at the University of Graz in the course of my PhD thesis. And the idea of this project was to find principles for development processes. Means like if somebody has a vision and this vision is about for implementation, how does this process look like from the vision towards implementation to realize this project successfully and ideally also sustainable. Yeah? And so that's in this project we have investigated and did research on different cases. One of those cases has also been in Egypt. We were looking onto the case of SICAM group in Egypt, investigating how Ibrahim Abelesh, Dr. Abelesh, came up to Egypt with his idea of having a sustainable company and biodynamic agriculture, and how this got into implementation and realization over the last 30 years. Another case was Plan New York City 2020 at the city of New York. This case was also about the Mayor Bloomberg, who came up with the ideas he needs to face the challenges of climate change, of sea level rise, and how the city of New York needs to react on this and to react in the most sustainable way. So he implemented this Plan New York City 2020. And again, it was a process of vision towards implementation. And the third case was in Malmö in Sweden, where a city harbor district was being refurbished from a brown area into a home living area, a very modern and prototype area for sustainable living. Again, the mayor who was behind that. So with those different cases, we were investigating this process from vision to implementation. Till today, we have investigated about 80 to 100 different other cases and tested this model on those and learned to understand how those processes, especially then sustainability processes, actually work. But now coming to the solution itself. And we might come back also to this idea of planting trees in a street. And what's the first steps actually in here? It would be to take agency, right? So you have your functionings of saying you value to have some green environments around you, and you have the capabilities, so to say the money and also the capacities to do something for it. So you take the agency, when we think back about the capability approach, to take the agency and do something for the realization of the project. But what are you doing? And this shows the Graz model here, that the first step is therefore building the vision and then asking also your social network about how they might support you. So and another example is if you'd like to go out with friends in the evening to meet them, to play something. The first thing is also you have the vision and the idea, you call them and ask them if they like to participate in this. So this is the social network that you include and make part of your vision. The third step of participation is actually that you ask your friends, colleagues, or maybe also experts for a certain project or topic, what their interest and what their experience is with that. If it's planting a trees, you might include experts of trees, forestry or whatever, and ask them what would be the ideal trees to plant there. You participate them within the process and make them become part of the process to share your vision for it. If you have neighbors who are actually against it because the trees build shadow and they like to have the sun, you need to convince them, to educate them also about why it is good to have the trees nearby, right? And this is actually an education for something. And when we think about sustainability processes, it is about education for sustainable development, because we all have the idea, the vision for sustainable development, and like to achieve this and like to also to bring this idea and awareness for sustainable development into the minds also of pupils, students, our colleagues, friends, and so on. So we practice education for sustainable development to bring this message through in a way. At the same time, with education, there comes also learning. So with this interaction with different people, we always learn by this interaction. We learn from experiences of different people. We learn from reading, from writing, and or by acting. And this learning process is very important for sustainable development as well. And as a fifth principle, we also have the research principle, research integration. That's where sustainability innovations actually come from also. Especially with participating people, learning from each other and in investigating different new solutions. We have a research process going on that is transdisciplinary, that is social problem driven, and that brings us towards more innovations that help us to achieve our sustainability ideas. This model can go into more depth of those 5 principles, which are here shown in this slide. Each of those 5 principles has 3 different levels that show us how we can more deeply interact with those people, and actually this model also shows the role of education, which is very central within the model, and it also shows the importance of participating people within our processes that we like to achieve. So top-down processes are not the way to achieve sustainability solutions, but in our solutions to achieve sustainable development, the model shows us how important it is to reflect different one's values, different one's perspectives. It shows us how important it is to build capacity for sustainable development by learning from each other. It shows us also how important it is to practice transdisciplinary research that takes respect on or cooperates, co-creates processes together with society. So this model for integrative development brings those 5 principles of leadership, social network, participation, education, learning, and research together, and in a very integrative and interconnected way that then steers us towards a more transformative way that steers us also towards sustainable development. This Graz model for integrative development can be used for planning processes, also for process development itself. So during the planning of the process, in the process development that is already taking place, or also in the self-assessment, self-reflection afterwards. And the criteria of the development for transformative processes are shown within this model. In a workshop now, actually, you can form 2 groups, or you can do this individually. As already explained during the methodologies, you can try out the system analysis methodology of planning the development, for example, of a process of a sustainable school in Egypt. And the other methodology of the Graz model for integrative development. Here you could, for example, try out the process of planning the development process of a sustainable school in Egypt again. Yeah? So you can try out this, ask different questions within this process, think about the different impact factors, and try this out, and it might support you in realizing your ideas and visions. So thank you very much for your attention. It was great meeting you again, also if it's only virtually, and looking forward to see you again wherever and whenever. Thank you very much.